Welcome to Vegas Circle with Pocky and Chris. And today we're bringing friends back to the circle. We got the CEO of the Institute of Human Performance, Mr. Jesse Halberstadt. I got to say it right.
There you go. It's good.
We also have the CEO of MB3 Academy, Miss Leteshia Riddick. So welcome, man. Welcome back to the circle, guys.
Happy to be back. Thank you
Hi,
for
Leteshia.
having me.
Hi, Chris.
Yeah, we were supposed to do this in person, man, but at least we were able to do this virtually. So
Yeah. Adjusting with the times. Adjusting with the times. Got to do it.
Well, we first got to start. I got to give y'all a pound. I got to give y'all a pound on the. Got to get everybody on there. So,
yeah, definitely. There we go.
So talk to us, man. So you guys are making some transitions. First, I got to ask you guys about how the facility's doing. Well, you guys are supposed to get that opened up real soon. Where are we at on that? With the
most definitely. Great question. So, during these times, you would think that the brick and mortars for sure have their slow down process. We were really at the beginning of construction. So with or without the pandemic, we were already looking at a 3 to 4 month out of getting equipment shipped and getting plans and permits and all that kind of stuff set up with the city. It does put a tad bit of a wrench into the exact date that we are looking to open, but things are still in motion. And we've also been able to take all of the resources that we're looking to offer from the Human Performance Facility for the Institute, for MB3 Academy and other partners as well. Even on the hockey side of things, we got a hockey performance partner going in there as well. And we figured out a way on how to make it virtual so that all these kids can maximize on their resources from home. So
got it. Yeah.
Talk about
you guys transition. You guys are kind of setting it up to transition regardless online, right? That was pretty much the plan before, and this kind of pretty much threw you guys into the water in a way.
Exactly. That's one of the reasons, and Leteshia can elaborate on this too. It's one of the reasons why we partnered with the #1 training platform in the world through Lightspeed, so that we can bring not only our brick and mortar-ish resources into the home or bring a human performance facility home, but it's also where you have Marcus's and Leteshia's MB3 Academy, where we leverage technology so that you can mentorship, coaching, and courses from wherever that you're at in the world. So yes, it's always been a part of the plan. It's great to have both in synergy. But what we get to do in this is we get to hone in and focus on how we deliver, how we can help others where they're at, right? That's really what it comes down to right now. So we had to pivot, made that adjustment, and here we are to offer that new offering.
That's good.
It's almost like you guys are kind of built for the future of education. It's a little bit different. You have the ability to transition all online and basically take everybody out of the brick and mortar, which is great.
Yeah, that's one of the terms. Leteshia will back me on this one. That's why we use click and mortar instead of brick and mortar.
You ain't lying. Yeah.
Man,
you guys might want to copyright that. Click and mortar. Yeah, that's not like good brand.
Already trademarked. Already looked into it, bro. Good luck, bro.
Yeah, that's smart. Yeah, that's real smart. Yeah. So the relationship. So basically, I'm sorry. Go right ahead, Leteshia.
I was just gonna say, just to piggyback off what Jesse said, it's funny because after all this COVID stuff started happening, we had a conversation, and I was like, essentially, this really just boosted our platform. If anything, I think this coronavirus pointed out a lot of discrepancies and shortcomings in the educational system. So if anything, it kind of helped us out, because now parents are seeing, in situations like this, the school system is not set up to transition to a distance learning platform. And then I think actually having their kids to be forced to do distance learning is going to give them a new outlook too, that they didn't have before.
Exactly.
That's a huge point. A huge point. I mean, it's funny. I got a close business friend of mine that he homeschooled 3 of his children, and I used to always battle with him about it. The difference of being able to do that. And he was saying, "Look, we're not teaching no philosophy. I'm teaching him real stuff." And it's like, if I'm gonna bring him, so let's say, he went and took his kids, and they went to school in Africa for a while, in Nigeria, believe it or not. And obviously he has the finances to be able to do it, but seeing that overnight, you're starting to see, the changes in them, as going into teenagehood and things. And he was always talking about, stop giving them material things and give them, put them in experiences, and it'll grow them better. So I like what you're saying, about, the learning online. I mean, self-paced classes. I know, when I had to do my real estate, I did all my real estate online. You know what I mean? I wasn't in any class, at all, and self-paced.
Chris just nailed it with that E word, and I think you did too. So education and what the educational experience is right nowadays. When speaking about this, since Leteshia brought up this education, we're talking about a little bit of flexible learning here, right?
Yeah.
If you research this, you'll find that distance learning has actually been around since the 1800s. The difference is technology. That's what's changed the most, right? So back in the day, we were able to take our papers and write our content and go ahead and ship it across seas and whatnot. Now it's instant transition, instant feedback. Traditional programs or schools that we grew up, right? You turn your paper in 2.5 weeks later or so, teacher gets it back to you. You don't get that feedback because now it's instant.
Virtual classrooms.
Virtual classrooms.
As opposed to homeschooling. Because I think before, people are still stuck in that homeschooling mindset. And that's why distance learning is like, it's so intimidating. Because what I hear a lot is like, I don't have time to teach, and it's like, you're not going to be the one teaching. Like, that's the thing. Like, people don't even understand the resources and the platform of what distance learning is, like, to be able to offer that.
It's powerful that we're talking about this, right? Because I know a little bit about the Institute. Obviously, we talked with Marcus and Jesse, before about MB3 Academy. And I love it that it's not just about basketball. And it's more than that. It's more about impacting the youth, building that foundation. And I absolutely love what you guys are doing on that side. So what can people expect for online? I know you guys do a lot online. Let's say that, a mom and dad was going to, bring their kids and want to go through the academy. What would they expect, as far as a little visual, little nugget for them?
For sure. So I think from the powered by, or the foundational stance of what the Institute provides is, yes, it's flexible because we partner with every form of learning. So you can be a part of the MB3 Academy. You can be a part of the Institute, whether you are in public school, private school, a charter school, a homeschool, or a distance learning program, right? And there's actually a difference between the 5 that we can cover. The point is the difference of the lifestyle. So depending on what educational platform you're on determines how much time that we know that we get to work with you so that we can make a tailored program for you, right? So what you could expect is different. It depends on, depends on what educational platform that you choose, right? 2, it depends on which program you're going to choose with us. Because if you're doing a full academy program, man, we're monitoring the 5 pillars of exercise science for you. So we're taking care of your movement, your sports medicine and therapy, your sports nutrition, your training, right? And what else am I missing? Your sports psychology on that note. And we're peppering in special enrichment courses, which we used to look at as electives, right? That are tailored to you. So you get to make a choice. As early as 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, you could be taking Introduction to Financial Literacy. You can be taking Intro to Business if you want to. If your parents really want you studying an additional language, a foreign language, you can do that too. It's really built around personal development as a core, and flipping the electives turn into what the core 4 is. So legally, we need to make sure that you're prepping for the transcripts, getting ready for college, SAT, ACT. But I think the special part is the people that you're around, the winning mindset that we're developing with them, and then giving them access to a community.
Yeah, and then I think to add on to that, so from a mentorship side, what's to be expected, and the example that I give to people a lot is, if you could picture a collegiate level or professional level training experience, but we're offering that to middle schoolers. So essentially, like, teaching them from 10, 11 years old. Sports is not just about going to practice for 2 hours a day and then going home. There's a nutrition part, there's learning your body, there's injury prevention. Like, it's so much other stuff that comes along with it. And then I think along with that, one thing Jesse didn't speak on, like, all of the people who we currently have on board, you're talking about, these are trainers who have degrees in sports medicine and exercise science. Like nationally notarized sports medicine directors, like people who've played sports at a collegiate or professional level. So just the environment that we're creating in itself, it's about building athletes. Like, we're about building individuals, because realistically, we're not going to be training all NBA players or, professional football players or professional baseball players. But what we want to do, like, we want to give these kids an opportunity to develop in the best way possible, being in a positive environment, You know, it may be other skill sets that they find, you know, through sports, just through having the additional resources through distance learning and things like that. So it's so much more. Like I always tell people, like for me and Marcus, like a lot of our motivation, just being involved in Marcus's journey over the years, seeing all the transitions, seeing like now looking back in hindsight, being able to say, you know what, if I had had that resource then, who knows, you know, what it could have been like, in spite of having an amazing career, you know, an amazing opportunity. But
Sure.
and it's like, okay, well, why aren't there any resources like that out there? We talk about it all the time. So you know what? Let's stop talking about it and let's do it. Like these kids deserve it. Like youth sports is $1 billion industry. And it's like, with that much money being spent, these kids should be getting the best resources possible. And unfortunately, that's not how it's panned out. So we just want to kind of step up to the plate and take on that challenge, you know, because again, I've seen it firsthand. I've heard Marcus among millions of other athletes have the same story, how sports saved their life, how athletics saved their life. So if we understand that this is a resource that's actually giving kids a chance, why aren't we investing more resources into being able to provide that for these kids?
You know, you guys bring up
you hear about it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you
people
guys
start teaching the kids as they're adults now. It seems like they're instead of trying to teach them when they're coming up through the ranks and they're having these tough times.
Teach them now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. It makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
And the other issue is the debt that people come into. You mentioned about money management and things like that, and teaching them, you know, the different revenue streams and maybe how to manage their money a little bit. That's huge. If they're doing that at junior high, because sometimes, they inherit debt as soon as, you know, the credit card companies will be there at 18 years old. That's how I got my credit card. They're ready for you inside of college.
I have 4 in my mailbox.
Man, that's unbelievable.
Crazy is we all grew up on different platforms, different families, different areas, right? And that's the one thing that you've seen, and I seen this year, without name dropping, you can see major difference from kids that are raised by parents that are coming from different economic circumstances and what they know versus what the 99% of the world knows. I've come across through relationships and meetings we have where we have 16 and 17-year-old kids that know how to fundraise millions of dollars. Contemplating on if they're going to college or not. And guess what?
That's wild.
It is wow, right? And the only way.
Sound like Chris. That was Chris when he was going to get invested in.
I wish.
But the point is they were groomed in a different environment. So all we're getting at here is if we're able to take all these nuggets, as you said, and put them into this environment, this elite environment to develop them on all cylinders, then what? Now, what does it look like? How are these kids? How are we really preparing them for tomorrow, today, right? Through the resources and the whatnot that we have. And Tisha can hit on that one too. And we're offering these things isn't just for, we do have an elite program. And to be honest with you, there's multiple versions of this. So there's the Human Performance Academy where you're on site and we're taking care of everything for you, feeding you, training, recovery, and all these resources we're talking about. Then there's a virtual version of it from it's 100% distance learning based on from wherever you're at. We have a community program, but regardless of where you're at or what's for, we have a nonprofit that Tisha and Foundation has set up so that we can get backing to support those who are maybe less fortunate that need to be a part of something like this is one. The other cool thing about, I like Marcus's approach too, being a Vegas native born and raised, we're also not just having one MB3 Academy. You're going to catch an MB3 Academy on the Summerlin side of town. You're going to catch an MB3 Academy in the inner city of Vegas, right? You're going to catch an MB3 Academy in the Southwest, kind of like central. I don't know, Tisha, you can tell, you're better than me with geographically here of where this is located.
Yeah.
With the Las Vegas Basketball Center.
Oh yeah, that's actually kind of like in the core of the city.
Yeah. There you go. So we offer all different services, right? And then we're also hitting on different areas within the city. And that was something that Mark, brought to the table of, hey, I've had this experience where I grew up on this side of town playing b-ball at the rec centers and this and that, right in the city, like in it. And then as the hill started to develop, right, And Cimarron, right? Mark there. Cimarron becomes the new school. He goes and takes over the hill. Boom, and he's right there, right? 10 years plus. Hey, baby.
Oh, popping his head in. Yeah.
And the hill starts developing just like any of the other cities, right? Develops from the inner city, and then it starts going out like this. So certain, like for instance, where MB3 at the Performance Center is right now, there wasn't businesses up on the hill probably 10 years ago. No way. Not on Warm Springs and Buffalo where we're at, you know what I mean? That are equipped for the industrial space. So anyways, it's just, it's in thought. The forward thought is, how do we apply to the masses? One, we got to get on a technology platform, one. And then if we're going to order or run these click and mortars, where are we going to place them at? So our first 3 destinations is center of town, inner city, Summerlin side, and it's only a matter of time before we can get down in that Green Valley, Henderson area or something like that, and see where we can expand. Sorry if I went on top.
Man. Yeah, no, that's great. And so I saw some of the PPE equipment. That's under your umbrella too, right, Leteshia? The 2020 Vision OV.
Yeah. So essentially, I've had a consulting company here for about 4 years. So my background is industrial and systems engineering. And one of the things that was brought to my attention was all of the opportunities that exist in government contracting. So for example, like with minority businesses, and when I say minority, meaning like women-owned, Black-owned, Latino-owned, anything that you consider a minority, veteran-owned. So what happens is the federal government, every year, they set aside billions of dollars in contracts for small businesses to allow large companies not to be able to come in and create a monopoly. Yeah. So a lot of times, some of these contracts are with larger companies where they, a stipulation is they have to give a portion of that to small businesses. So once I started educating myself, what I started to realize is it's billions of dollars of these set-asides out there that minority businesses don't even know about and don't even take advantage of.
Nobody takes advantage of it.
Nobody takes advantage of it. So what I started to do, it's actually a group here, it's called PTAC. It's a completely free program. They work with small businesses and help you get set up to do government contracting. In doing so, as I was doing my research and meeting with PTAC, I came across the name, and it was Ken Evans. And at the time, he was just appointed chairman of the Las Vegas Stadium Authority Board, and he was named president of the Urban Chamber of Commerce. So I'm like, you know what, this is a person that I'm going to have to connect with. Like, if I'm going to do something with this is a person that I need to know. So at the time, they were doing the monthly meetings for the Stadium Authority where the public could actually go and see what was happening as far as the vendors, as far as contracts, as far as this community benefit plan that they were trying to put in place that was going to assure that small businesses would be able to maintain a percentage of the contracts that came across with the stadium. So even in doing so, still never connected with Ken. So in 2018, I pledged an alumni chapter, a Las Vegas alumni chapter of Delta Sigma Theta. And after doing that, one of my line sisters, she's an electrical engineer. So she was interested in the contracting. And so as I was telling her the story, I mentioned Ken, and she's like, oh, that's one of my really good friends. So a few days later, she set up the meeting. Long story short, he's been acting as my mentor since then. And as a result, I was able to create my consulting company. So one of the things that I have experience in is actually international trade and e-commerce. So at one point I had a subscription box and I was doing all my sourcing overseas in China. So I already had established relationships there. And then a few of my college friends, actually one of my best friends from college, he's been doing international trade and e-commerce for 15 years. He lived in Shanghai for about 7 years. And we were actually, before this COVID-19 hit, we were working on a lobster, basically we were going to start importing lobster from the Caribbean to China.
Oh, wow.
We were in the works of launching it right before coronavirus happened. So essentially we kind of just pivoted and we already had the relationships there. We were like, you know what, let's just see what we can do. And we initially started small. It was sourcing to small businesses, and we created a Shopify website so individuals could go on and buy a mask, literally one mask at a time. About a week after we started doing that, started getting requests from hospitals, from prisons, from government agencies, and utilizing our resources on the ground over there. So for us, we had more security because we actually have people there that can go to the factories, that can make sure our shipments are getting to customs.
It's like the boots on the ground. It's huge.
Boots on the ground, because what's really happening is so much happening at the government level that people don't know, people aren't aware of, and it's making it so difficult, like to acquire this PPE, because the issue is not a shortage. Like China has thousands and thousands and warehouse fulls of PPE just sitting there. Like literally millions of units ready to ship. I talked to my supplier.
That's jacked up. You know that's jacked up what you say right
now.
now.
Their day just started, so I just got off the phone with her. Like literally anything I order, like I'm talking to her right now about an order of 1 million units. And she's like, okay, you can receive it in 7 days. So it's not a shortage.
That's like, I put my, let's mark that down. I made my order today. So make sure.
7 days.
But hey, that's powerful. 7 days. I mean, we were seeing.
No, they have the capability to do this. So the issue is okay. The Chinese government is controlling everything right now. So this is like payback for those tariffs that they've been paying for the past year. So back in January, the Chinese government acquired almost all the PPE that was available in the world. They bought it at cost. So right now they control the market. So masks that you would have essentially paid 5 cents for, you're paying $2 wholesale now. So it's a supply and demand. And the issue is a lot of hospitals and organizations don't understand that. They're used to paying what they paid before. It's not the same circumstances. So with
and all the madness too didn't help.
Didn't help at all. Then not to mention, for whatever reason, people have an issue when they know it's coming directly from China. Although we can go to Macy's and Walmart and Target and CVS, and 95% of the things that we buy come from China. But when people know that they're having to do direct business for whatever reason, like there's so much skepticism. And then just it's so difficult connecting with the right people. Like we have so many resources, and when I say valuable resources, like I was on a Zoom call earlier where I'm working with a group out of California. It's called Blacks on Wall Street. And we actually have access to a 737 where we can bring back 90 tons of PPE in about 5 days. And when the PPE gets back stateside, we have the resources. We have semis in place that can actually truck it out to the cities in need. So what we're working right now, we're working with like cities, especially in the South. Like we're actually even working with Nevada because we just have to be able to, it has to be 90 tons. So that's millions and millions and millions upon millions.
You said 90 tons?
90 tons, because we have to be able to build a plane to come back to justify the trip. So it's like, even though, we're small business, these are the resources we have access to. So it's like being able to use the proper channels to be able to help and provide those resources. And unfortunately for a small business, like that's the hardest part.
Yeah. I'm loving what you're saying. You guys need to, all the listeners, y'all need to check out the website. I went on there today and order some more N95 masks. So that's powerful that you're able to get it that fast when you got all these. I'm not going to shout the names out, but you guys know the other names out there that are telling you the middle of May or whatever the situation is, and you just fillet some people open, man. You just put people on blast, Leteshia.
Yeah, basically you can't get nothing, and now you're saying you got 90 tons in 5 days. That's wild. That's
actually, we have 5 million. I just got a text like 2 hours ago that we have 5 million coming that just got cleared in customs. It's on the way right now from China, where a buyer backed out. So now we actually have 5 million masks stateside, like to be able to fill some of these needs. So like I said, I mean, it's definitely doable. It's just with China, people are used to dealing with procurement departments. This isn't a procurement department situation now. Now it's like, and it's not easy doing business in China. So if it's not something that you're used to, like, my partner was telling me, he said, how many companies like literally got money for orders and picked up and relocated? And that happened. So that's why it's important, like, to know who you're dealing with and have those relationships in place. So right now that's proven to me like more valuable than anything. The biggest challenges is like getting around the government regulations. And now, China's understanding the bidding war. So the prices fluctuate on a daily basis. Like it's a lot.
Yeah, that's huge, man. I'm glad you're bringing that up. I mean, that right there, I mean, that's real life, what we're dealing with today.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Is the whole situation. So
these are like are these single purchases, or they're like in bulk? You have to do bulk?
No. So for me, it's bulk purchases. So what I try to do, like the website that Paki mentioned, because right now No, I got when I started posting, it was initially to do bulk orders, but I was getting hit up by so many nurses, by so many home health care providers, by so many daycare workers who literally just needed PPE, like for their own personal protection in doing and performing their jobs. So understanding, like, you know what, like if I don't do this, they won't have anywhere to get this from. Because I spoke to an anesthesiologist yesterday here in Vegas, and he said that literally trying to get a mask at the hospital, it's like almost impossible. And that's for the frontliners. So it's like, you know what, this is really a serious problem. So I'm like, you know what, even though I can't reach out to the who's who or the big decision makers, just anything that I can do in the meantime to help people be able to protect themselves. Because Marcus and I talk about it all the time. We've been wearing masks for like a month now, even before this whole announcement by Trump. Like,
were you wearing the MB3? Because I saw you doing some marketing. Were you wearing the MB3?
We just got the
Y'all was smart. Y'all was smart. I saw that. Yeah,
we just got the MB3, but no, we had KN95s like
there you go.
And we would go in stores and people would look at us like we were aliens.
Really?
Like we would have conversations. A month ago, you know, we had been wearing masks.
You probably are right, because I think the last probably 2 weeks, I think it's really had the outbreak set up where you start seeing more people, you know, wearing the mask. So this is unbelievable, man. I mean, it's really a scary situation, but I'm happy that you guys are making a positive impact, but not the negative impact.
Can the average people purchase the PPE equipment from you guys, or is that something that's done through specifically, like you said, in bulk orders right now?
No, so that's what I was saying. So I created a Shopify store, basically a website, and I put individual.
And that's on the 2020 Vision LV.
Exactly. So you can get like a pack of 10, a pack of 20, a pack of 50, a pack of 100. So just for the smaller scale orders, for people to be able to order for personal use, just to be able to have them. And right now we're actually working on finalizing a website where we have a newly designed MB3 mask. It's going to be set up for drop shipping, where once you can have it delivered to you in 2 days. And these are made out of antimicrobial, machine washable, so they're reusable. So these are good. And then in addition, like with MB3 basketball, we're partnering with some medical groups in the city, and we're awaiting 10,000 test kits from the CDC. And we're looking to mobilize free mobile testing and food giveaways.
Get out of here.
Yeah, well, we've engaged like a couple local restaurants that are willing to donate. So when we're able to get all that put together, we're going to be, I think, at Cashman.
Okay.
Where they're housing the homeless, we're trying to do a food giveaway there, and some mobile testing, some much needed mobile testing, since the city is at such a deficit with tests as well. I
gotta ask you guys, both you and Marcus got tested, and that looked ridiculous. You don't mind me bringing up? I almost passed out when I saw the thing. I said, "Oh Jesus!" I my heart stopped. That messed me up.
So funny story.
Why did you guys get tested?
I was telling Marcus, so I knew what to expect, because my anxiety and my paranoia, about 2 weeks ago, I think I might have had a fever, and I went to the emergency room and he was laughing at me.
I was mad.
He was mad. So when I went, they actually did a flu test. And so the flu test is the same thing, where they stick the swab all the way up your nose, but they stick it in the back of your sinuses. So
Chris, have you seen that yet?
Already. Huh?
No, I haven't. I try to avoid that. I'm afraid of needles too.
You're going to pass out. You see this thing is like 9 inches, man. It's ridiculous.
And they stick it all the way to the back of your nose.
Check it out.
Yeah, I would rather have walked in there not knowing that, trying to get the test. Now I'm going to try to avoid it at all costs.
But you know what, guys? Today was such a relief, because we went to an amazing physician, and he gave us like such jewels as far as like treatment for coronavirus. He's one of the first physicians that I've seen that has been recommending mostly like natural treatments. He said he has his patients on vitamin C, zinc, and there was just one other herb or supplement that he told me that he said it was something that they used to treat allergies. And then he has these these shots that's amino acids that he's using on all of his elderly patients, because he said what it does is it reboots and resets your immune system. So it prepares you. What is his name?
Because that's big. Because most doctors, all they want to do is just promote.
Hold on, Marcus is looking up his name.
Yeah, that's good to know.
Dr. Hoffman.
Dr. Hoffman, okay.
He's not a regular physician. He's like a private physician where he told Marcus and I today he has about 400 families in the city that he works with. Like he's been doing it for 40 years. So if you get sick, you don't go to the hospital. You call him, he comes to you. Or you meet him at his office. But he gave so much great information. So it was a good experience.
Got it. That's good stuff. Yeah, that's really good stuff. So you guys are doing so much, man. I mean, you guys got your hands involved in everything with the Institute, with MB3. It's great being able to see what you guys are able to do. It's just awesome. I mean, the future is going to be great.
Really pushing us forward for sure.
Yeah, and it's just
we didn't get a chance to touch on the nonprofit either. Just mentioned it. So essentially, what the nonprofit is going to be. So with MB3 Academy and the Institute, like Jesse said, that's going to be our more elite-based training, and understanding that a lot of the kids who need that resource are not going to be able to afford that. So what we did was we put a nonprofit in place, essentially that's going to be able to provide scholarships for those kids who can't afford to attend MB3 Academy. Also, when we have things like camps, clinics, any kind of workshops, info sessions, the nonprofit is set up to be a financial resource. We want to focus on education. Like we want to be able to donate to the high schools, to UNLV, to the CSNs, like anything that we can do in the city that helps benefit kids in any kind of way, just kind of, be a resource that kind of feeds all of that. And again, being a financial resource for these kids who have the skill, who have the desire, and, who essentially could benefit the most from MB3 Academy, but don't have the resources to afford it.
I love what you guys are doing with that and connecting with Jesse. I mean, bringing him out from California. I mean, like we got a chance to talk about before. And it's great, man. I mean, what you're saying with the testing with the COVID and then what you guys are doing with MB3, future is just so bright. And you guys are doing it the right way. That's the main thing.
It's important timing, too. Very good timing on that.
Very important time. And that's probably the biggest offering or give back right this second is with these confusing or different times, let's say different times right now, it's already tough enough growing your young one, your student athlete, right? And trying to make sure that they're on track with, are they getting the things that they need to get done? Do they have the right resources? You have these big visions and you're pushing them to reach these higher levels of education or higher levels of competition, right? And a lot of that success is due to the guidance that you receive during those times. It's not always the resources, right? You have guys that have come up and been blessed and they had a different mindset that got them through the obstacles and whatnot. And today's world, obviously the obstacles have changed, right? The mountains to overcome have changed. We live in a different world. So that's really what we're trying to provide here is the correct guidance to help maximize performance and whatever that may be. So the same framework that we use at the Institute is something that it's the bones that can be applied to a dance studio, a basketball company, a hockey center, a business for that matter, if that's what was needed. So it's all wrapped around human performance and how do we get business strategists and maybe organizational corporate leaders that you normally wouldn't get unless you were at like a C level, at that corporate level, but bringing it to entrepreneurs that run like small businesses or consultants that are out, you know what I mean? Like, so it's just, it's a resource network. And the same way we go about working and developing businesses, we take with the human beings and the sports approach. So that's really what it is. It's more so it's a performance system that can be implemented in multiple industries and different frameworks. So
when you guys gonna start doing college so I can enroll?
Yeah.
I need to get some resources.
Actually, that may be not too far out in the future.
Hey, there you go. Next step.
Well, one of the MB3 Academy locations that Jesse mentioned that we kind of have in the works right now. So there's a building. It's right behind the Strip. So you're talking about the center of the city. It's a 70,000 square foot building. Well, right now we're looking to implement. So it would be a 50,000 square foot performance area with courts and turf. and then 25,000 square foot area for school.
That's huge.
So this is an initiative that's being backed by the city. The city's expectation is that this is going to be a staple building for that area, because so the area is like on Industrial in Charleston, where they're doing like all the renovations and things now. So they're looking for this building to be a staple. So we've actually had a few meetings. We're working with one of the top architects in the city, KME Architects, Melvin Green. He's doing the convention center, the architect on record for Blue Tech Park. So super exciting. Like, a lot of his designs are using like renewable energy. So just
sound
really
like a Tesla. Yeah, you sound like Tesla. That's awesome. Yeah. That's great. It's unbelievable. One thing I want to share, I mean, you were talking about it, Jesse, is that this is unfortunately the new norm. You know, me and Chris were talking about it. It's like literally, it's like,
definitely.
It's not even changing day by day. It's changing like hour by hour. That's really what you got to refocus on. But I love where you guys are at. You guys always got great energy. I mean, it's great what you guys.
Sometimes you need something like this to tell you in the future too. So that's
for sure. What did we forget that we should have asked you guys, man? Anything that you guys want to share? Anything that's on your heart that you guys wanted to touch on?
I guess one thing to close is like just anything that we do, we promote and whatnot is about habit building, right? So while we don't have full control over circumstances, it can take you back for us, of going through a lot, through our own lives, and take you back to a grind time. Stress or uncertainty and whatnot, and to kind of understand that everything's going to be okay. During that interim of coming back, looking back, as you always kind of talk to yourself and think like, hey, I wish I knew that I could have not relaxed during that time, but could have been at ease. Kind of trust in the wisdom you should be receiving and whatnot, and understand everything is going to be all right. But through that, it doesn't take away from seek wisdom, seek a new understanding, seek to learn, right? So that you can develop during these times. It's either you're going to be weighed down and distracted, or you're going to evolve and you're going to develop. There's no in between. There's no waiting around. So it is new. We all went through this when the recession hit. Some of us have been around for 2 recessions, right? So evolve, be proactive as can be, maximize your resources and develop as a human being. And instead of worrying about yourself, maybe focus and pivot to a space of how I can serve other people. And I think everything will come in and fit the way it's supposed to fit.
There we go, Jess. That's great. Anything that you want to share, Leteshia, at all?
Just to add to that, I would just say, one thing that I always say is like, time is one of the most valuable resources that we have, that we all tend to take for granted. And right now, that's something that we're being given in abundance. And it's instead of taking this time to complain about being in a house or stress or worry, like this is the time where millionaires are made. Like you have the time to sit down and brainstorm. You have the time to research. You have the time to send the emails. You have the time to make the phone calls. So like take advantage. Like, I've been really blessed to I've been mentoring kind of and consulting a lot of my friends along the way who I know have gifts and talents, and kind of just like helping pull that out of them and like, hey, start your business now. Like, you know what? You're a really good cook. You know how many people are at home tired of cooking? Like, it starts now. And then what you do now transitions into when the economy does open back up. Now you have a full business that you've been already running, for months. So like, just get ahead of the curve. Like now is the time.
Yeah, that's huge. Yeah. That's awesome. You guys are such positive people, man. I'm excited to be able to bring you guys back on, man. This is great. Where can you shout out the websites again and your social media, how people can reach you guys again?
MB3basketball.com. There's also themarcusbanks.com. 2 beautiful sites. Last time we were on, I don't think we were able to shout those 2 out, so you're gonna want to check those out ASAP. Sure. Tisha I don't want to butcher it. Give me the right.
It's www.2020visionlv.com, and that's the site where you can actually go and place your individual orders for masks. And then anything bulk order related, you can email me at lriddick@visionattain.com.
Perfect. Okay. Awesome, guys, man. We appreciate you guys hanging out, man. We have to continue to keep you guys back.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. This is amazing.
Of course, man. So appreciate you guys. And you'll be able to check us out at thevegascircle.com.